Okay, so this is the Chapter 7 homework for Mounce. Are there any questions on the parsing? Let's start with that. Want me to work through any examples? Clarify anything for you? Number 2. Right. Because is my case ending the sigma? That's right. The case ending is not sigma. What's my stem vowel here? Yeah, the stem vowel is omicron. So once you've identified the stem vowel as omicron, then you know that the iota sigma is the case ending. It's whatever comes after that stem vowel is the case ending. So it's not just sigma. So don't make that mistake. Okay? So that makes this dative, plural, and then the omicron tells me it's going to be one of two possibilities, right? Masculine or neuter. Now, how do I know which it is? Can I tell by looking at the inflected form? No. I've got to look back at the lexical form. And what is the lexical form? Kurios. And its lexical forms ends with a sigma, which is nominative, and the sigma on a nominative second declension noun is masculine. That's right. So it's ha kurios, right? Now, so inflected meaning then needs to take account both of the dative case and the plurality. So, Mr. Pergon, how did you translate that? Yes, you want to put to lords or masters. Yes, or in or with as well. Any of those are possible, given the fact that we have no context. So you can use any of the keywords here. To, in, with, lords. Yep. Now, the reason we're not saying to the lords is because we don't have an article along with the inflected form. Otherwise, I'd insist on translating that article with it. You see that? Okay.
So you would use this if you were saying that he brought something to the Lord? Would that be how you would use that?
Well, it would be he brought something to, if you were talking about Jesus, it would be singular. But that case would be used with that. Yes, absolutely. Good question. Number 4, so we have tous. Just looking at that form, is that a noun or is that one of the article forms? It's the article. Now take a look. What is the stem vowel that this article uses? The omicron. Omicron is the stem vowel, which means that the case ending is, I can bracket it out, it's not just sigma, but upsilon sigma. It's us. And so which case ending is that? Accusative, plural, and only masculine. There is only one case ending among the 3 columns I have where that is applicable, right? Accusative, plural, masculine. So, what are we using for our lexical form for articles? We'll go ahead and use all of them for good measure, right? Ha, hey, and ta. Boy, that doesn't look very good. Okay, that's a rough breathing, y'all. And ta. Okay, and how am I going to translate this? Yes, the. In the accusative case, I don't have any keywords that I use. If this were dative, I might say to the or in the, but just as accusative, just it's the. So that's it. Now, it's plural, right? It's plural. So should I put an S on the end of the in English? The, those? No. We don't pluralize the article in English, even though in Greek they do. So you have to stay within what your language allows. So don't do crazy stuff like that. Yes, that's right. In Spanish, you'd have to put a plural article, wouldn't you? All right. So take a look at number 1 and number 5, okay? I just want you to notice that you have vowels with iotas subscripted. That should make you think dative singular. You have a noun rule about this, don't you? In the dative singular, iota does what? Subscripts if or when possible. So This means that the iota I see here is the dative. And what's the stem vowel? Here it's eta, right? Now, it may be that my lexical form already has an eta at the end, does it? Yes, it's agape. So I already had an eta to start with, so that's not unusual. I just add the iota and it subscripts for the dative singular. So dative, singular, and what gender is agape? Feminine, good. And you might translate this as to, in, or with love, okay? So there you go. Now with anthropo, I'm going to bracket out my iota subscript, and again, note that that's dative singular, but look at the vowel that's it's subscripted under. That's an omega. So did I start with an omega or an omicron for the stem vowel? Yeah, this one has an omicron that had to do what to get the iota subscript? It had to lengthen. So this is what lexical form? Anthropos. And this tells me it's what gender? It's masculine. Now, all by itself, I can't tell based on this form whether it's masculine or neuter. I can tell it's second declension, but it's the lexical form that's needed to tell me it's masculine. And how am I going to translate this? Yes, to, in, or with man or mankind. All right, good. Anybody need to look at anything else here in the parsing? Did you see the method to my madness here and just figuring out this stuff? We could walk through almost all these and determine which declension pattern's being followed, couldn't we? Because we can find the stem vowel in almost every case.
Just on the 2 times at the bottom, he was just trying to signify that there could have been multiple.
That's right, that there's 2 possible answers here on these. So why don't we look at, let's look at altois for a second. What's the stem vowel here? Omicron. That means that the case ending is not just sigma, but what comes after the omicron is iota sigma. That tells me it's what case and number? Dative, plural. Now, when it's omicron, what are my possibilities? Masculine or neuter. Could it literally be both of those? Well, for the article, the genitive and dative forms in the masculine and neuter are the same, aren't they? They are the same. So yes, it could be either one. Lexical form, ha, he, ta, and how am I going to translate that? To them. And it's either to them masculine things or to them neuter things, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm so used to writing the article. You are absolutely right. Pardon. This is not article. This is autos. And in the forms that have 3 possibilities, I would say autos, alte, alta. Okay? Go ahead and get used to writing those 3 forms for your lexical form. Okay, so it's to them. Where am I getting the to from? It's the dativeness. That's right. It has to do with its dativeness.
How does the speaker or the writer select the article?
What determines whether he's using or she's using the masculine or neuter form is going to be dependent upon, well, like in this case, them is a pronoun here, and its gender depends on what it's referring to, right? Pronouns always refer to something. So if it's referring to masculine people, then it's to them men, right? And it's going to be the masculine form. What determines the article's gender? Whatever the article is modifying. So if it's the women, what form of the article do I have to use? Feminine. If it's the men, the form of the article is going to be masculine. All right? Okay. So those were the two possibilities for 9. For 10, basileas also is two possibilities. So what is my stem vowel in number 10? The stem vowel is alpha, and that means that my case ending is a sigma at the end. Look at your alpha. What declension pattern is that following? Yes, this is going to be first declension. So in the first declension case endings, what are my possibilities when I have a sigma? So if you look at the case endings here, in the first declension column, I've got sigma here, genitive singular feminine, accusative plural feminine. What am I dealing with basileas? The lexical form is basileia. Starts with an alpha, doesn't it? What is that going to do in the genitive singular, dative singular, accusative singular? It is going to stay alpha because the alpha is preceded by an REI letter. Is iota an REI letter? Absolutely. So it'll be basileia, basileias, basileia with an iota that will subscript, basileion. Plurals, basileii, basileion, basileis, basileias. So you see how when I have an REI letter before an alpha, these two are going to be ambiguous. Could be accusative plural because everything goes to alpha there. It could be genitive singular if the alpha stays in the genitive singular. Doxa, on the other hand, let's remember doxa. What does it do in the dative, in the genitive? Goes to eta. Dative singular, eta. Back to alpha in the accusative singular. Doxai, doxone, doxais, doxas. Can you tell the difference between genitive singular and accusative plural? You can, okay? So it's only with the REI letters that these two forms are ambiguous. And to go back to our worksheet, you see he gives you the 2 times because there are 2 possibilities. This is why we need to give 2 possibilities here. Now, here's what you should do. Like in this sort of situation in number 9, they're both dative plural, and it's dative plural masculine or dative plural neuter. Okay? So I might split it like that or draw a line this way. When I have these 2 possibilities, it's genitive, singular, or accusative, plural. Okay? Please keep the accusative and the plural together. And please keep the genitive and the singular together. In other words, accusative singular is not going to work for a parsing, right? Both are feminine, so I don't mind if you put that down one time. Genitive singular feminine, accusative plural feminine, but your genitive and singular have to hang together in your parsing. Your accusative and plural have to hang together. And then we already wrote basileia down. And so then, when you're translating these, there's 2 possibilities. The genitive singular translation would be what? Of a kingdom. That's right. And if it's accusative plural, it would be, if it's accusative, there's no of, right? It's just kingdoms, like I love kingdoms. Okay? Yes, I love to rule. So always trying to impose martial law. Yes, of a kingdom or kingdoms. Okay? But if you put your genitive singular on top over here, then translate it that way in your answer over here. That makes sense? Okay, good. Now, if we're writing out the articles forms, that's just memory work. So we don't really need to ask any questions about that. But what about the warm-up exercises? Anybody have any questions about the warm-up material? What letter? Oh, beta?
Yeah.
Oh, phonane.
Sound of angels.
Yes.
Is that as good as voice?
Yes, voice or sound is appropriate here. It's a short snippet, so we don't really know if it's the angel's making a noise versus the angel saying something, so I'd take either one. By the way, what case is angelon here? Yeah, you see that own, right? So that's genitive, plural. And so it is modifying or qualifying the phonane in some way, right? Whose voices or whose sound? This is actually singular noun in the what case is phonane? You see the new here? Yes, that is an accusative singular. So notice that my head noun was accusative. It could be any case, but the genitive noun that modifies it has to be genitive. So it's a voice of angels or a sound of angels or some such thing. Notice that angelos kuriou, that upsilon here is genitive singular, and it's modifying angelos here, but this one is in what case, given that sigma? It's nominative, okay? So again, your head noun could be any case. So angel of the Lord in this one. All right.
Can you do epsilon?
Epsilon. Yes. Let's read this out loud. Say this with me. Ready? So repeat after me. Phone theou kai uk anthropu. So phone is, yeah, sound or voice. Theou. Okay, what case is it? Genitive. So yes, voice of God. Now, since God is definite by virtue of referring to a specific deity in the mind of the Israelite, you might translate this as the voice of God. Kai uk and not. And what case is anthropu? Genitive. So what you have are two genitives that each are modifying the same head noun. The voice of God and not of man. All right? So basically what you have is you have unstated phonane again. It's assumed from the prior expression. The voice of God and not the voice of man is the idea. This is an echo of that Acts passage where Herod is being glorified by the people, or they're flattering him, and they're saying the voice of a God and not of a man. And he loves that, and he gets eaten by worms. So beware. Any other questions?
How do you know if he's of a God, like any other God, or God?
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, good question. I suppose here, this if this is the cries of the mob, I guess I could put a here, the voice of a God and not of a man. That actually is probably the best way to go if this is reflecting that story. Yeah, so good question. If you wanted to ensure that the reader knew you were talking about the God of Israel, then you'd see the article here. And trying to remember, do we have an example up here? I don't think we do. So we might see one a little below.
So the lack of the article there, it shows us that it's little g?
Yes, it could be. Now, it is possible, and you'll learn this as you go into your Greek reading classes, your syntax classes. It is possible for a noun that doesn't have the article to be definite in certain circumstances. So you can't always say if the article is missing, it's indefinite. But when the article is missing, it frequently is indefinite. And if it works within the context, then yeah, you would translate that as the sound or the voice of a God.